tribe down in South Africa today, okay, who trace their lineage from Jerusalem, all right? Because the Bible tells you over and over the so-called Israelites were so-called black people.
Didn't want to read it, receiving it from the Catholics. Mine couldn't conceive it, believing it from the Baptists. The Hebrews wasn't white, so they running all out of actors. Searching through the chapters and seeing they got it backwards. Kindly tell the truth and the rage in them only escalated. Every word they hated, but none want to debate it. So what I'm supposed to do? Let them fake it until they make it. Nah, bowing to the idols, my power's vowing to take them down. Non-believers smoking while Christians drinking the potion. Everybody's high on that lie when the demons spoken. Alive on the rival with Bruce, we all awoke with. Vision kinda blurry, he's realigning the focus. Gotta tell the truth and confuse the room or it clears it out. Peers don't wanna hear, so I'm filled with a lot of fears and doubts. You gave me the heart, so it's time to put the action in. Praises that I give you on earth will only be practiced.
If the truth is what you see, then there's no need to look further than the words written on stone. Find your grace when you believe. The body of the one without sin being hung on the cross, living the life that you should lead. Thankful every day that I live and bring tears, giving praise to the Most High. Giving praise to the Most High.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I can't hear anything. So, mic check 1 2. Let's start with that. Microphone check 1 2. All right, Shabbat Shalom. All right. If you can hear me and my video is good, somebody please put a 1 in the comments. I need to go on the settings real quick. But as we have it, we're coming from Ezekiel chapter 8. I'm going to read that for a devotion. And I'm going to continue to work right here. Let me see. Because there's something I have to hear in order to know that I'm coming across right. So just bear with me for 1 second. All right, so Brother Chick says I'm good in YouTube land. Shabbat Shalom. Sister Nicole says I'm good in Facebook land. All right. So that being the case, I'll fix it. You know what I'm saying, as we move along. All right, so what are we dealing with today? We're dealing with the cross. Cross-examine this, what the title of this is. You know what I'm saying? The Christian cross as a symbol of faith needs to be a question of concern for true followers of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? He's destroyed people for less. And what a terrible thing it would be to get all the way to glory and hear the words, I never knew you. All right. So this is another one of those Constantine type of Roman Catholic Church worship type of breakdowns as, you know, we've had in the past, in the recent past. So, you know, we're going to just take it, you know what I'm saying, as is. It's also, you can say, a part 2 to the idol worship study that we did. But that's neither here nor there. So let's go ahead and get Ezekiel chapter 8. We'll get through devotion and then we'll get straight to the PowerPoint. All right. It says, let me make sure one more thing real quick before I do that. All right. And be sure to let me know if my background music's too loud. I can't hear it. That's part of the thing that I need to be able to do. But anyway, let's keep it there. Ezekiel chapter 8, starting at the very first verse. And it says, and it came to be in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th of the new moon, as I sat in my house with the elders of Yehuda sitting before me, that the hand of the Master Yah fell upon me there. And I looked and saw a likeness, like the appearance of fire. From his waist and downward, the appearance was like fire. And from his waist and upward, his appearance, the appearance of brightness, like glowing metal. And he stretched out the form of a hand, and took me by the lock of my hair. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heavens, and brought me in a vision of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy was, which causes jealousy. And see, the esteem of Elohim of Israel was there, like the vision that fell on the plain. And he said to me, Son of man, please lift up your eyes toward the north. And I lifted up my eyes northward, and north of the slaughter place gate I saw this image of jealousy in the entrance. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The great abominations which the house of Israel are doing here, driving me away from my set apart place. And you are to see still greater abominations. Then he brought me to the door of the court, and I looked, and I saw a hole in the wall. And he said to me, Son of man, please dig into the wall. And when I dug into the wall, I saw a door. And he said to me, go in and see the evil abominations which they are doing there. And I went, Salakia, verse 10, and I went in and looked and saw all kinds of creeping creatures, abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel carved all around the walls. And facing them stood 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel. And in their midst stood Yahaziyahu, son of Shaphan. Each one had a censer in his hand, and the thick cloud of incense went up. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the dark, each one in the room of his idols? For they say, Yahweh does not see us. Yahweh has forsaken the land. And he said to me, you are to see still greater abominations than they are doing. And he brought me to the door of the north gate of the house of Yahweh, and I saw women sitting there weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, have you seen this, O son of man? You are to still see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the house of Yahweh, and there at the door of the temple of Yahweh, between the porch and the slaughter place, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of Yahweh, and their faces towards the east. And they were bowing themselves eastward to the sun. And he said to me, have you seen, O son of man? Is it a small matter in the house of Yehuda, and to do the abominations which they have done here? And they have filled the land with violence, turn back to provoke me, and see they are putting a branch to my nose. There I shall indeed deal in wrath. My eyes shall not pardon, nor would I spare, and they shall cry in my ears with a loud voice, but I shall not hear them. All right, the Most High's word is blessed already. Let's go ahead and let's get into the lesson. You know what I'm saying? It was important to start with Ezekiel chapter 8. If you haven't had that in your toolbox and your mental Rolodex or whatever, make sure that you put Ezekiel chapter 8 there and put it in its context, see what it's saying. All right. It's very telling about how the Most High sees these abominations. A lot of people don't see the Christian cross as an abomination. They think it's a symbol of status or of hope, so on and so forth. We're going to deal with a few videos. Matter of fact, let me see what I'm looking like. Yeah, matter of fact, I have to put my disclaimer up. You know how it is. You have to put your what is it called, Manny? Fair use. Yeah, I have to put the fair use. You know what I'm saying? Background up real quick. Yeah, so let's throw that up there. Oh, my bad. All right. So let's go ahead and get that out the way. You know what I'm saying? Then we can get back to it. All right. Cross-examine. That's what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So let's just take it a piece at a time. What does it mean? How we're gonna approach this? What do you mean examine? We're gonna do it like we did the whole truth about Emperor Constantine thing, and you know what I'm saying, settle it in court. All right, the cross on trial. The harsh truth about the start of modern Christianity. Now, as a disclaimer, I want to get into it, you know what I'm saying, and put this out first. This is not a ministry that speaks against the sacrifice of Christ. No, we wholeheartedly believe in the remission of your sins through the atoning death of Christ, okay, of Christ Yahushua. That is not the point of this message, right? It's just to point out the idol, you know what I'm saying, worship and the whole deceptive work of Satan and how he has introduced this cross into, you know what I'm saying, people's modern acceptance. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people put on the cross to show that they are believers in Christ, so on and so forth. But as we read in the book of Titus, you know what I'm saying, he says that, but in works they deny me. All right. So it's one thing to say that I am a believer, but you know what I'm saying, the scriptures tells us that by your fruits we shall know you. Right. So anyways, let's just keep it moving. The harsh truth about the start of modern Christianity. Let's put this cross on trial. What's to the cross? So now what's wrong with the cross? We're always finding something, right? We have to, like we do everything, like we did Christmas, like we did Easter, like we did Sunday church. We have to find and dig to the root of this thing. When did this thing happen? All right. Is this another one of those scenarios where it was established thousands of years before Christ Yahushua? You know what I'm saying? Is it? We have to examine it. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures tells us to examine all things. So Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9 says, what has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. So let me see if this cross is something new. All right. You know not what you worship, for that symbol is for Tammuz, right? And we just read in Ezekiel chapter 8, you know what I'm saying, how the women were weeping for Tammuz. That was the first sunrise service, as the good brother KJV pointed out once before, you know what I'm saying? And then two, them bowing down to the sun in the east. All of that stuff is relevant. That sun worship, you know what I'm saying, that is part of paganism, that is accepted in modern Christianity. Yeah, we have to throw that thing on trial. All right. And if it, you know what I'm saying, if it stands up, it stands up. And also, to be fair, since we're doing it in a judicial type of setting, you know what I'm saying, we're going to have the prosecution and we're going to have the defense. All right. Because I already know somebody's going to be in my comments, you know what I'm saying, teaching, you know, the contrast to the cross not being pagan, or how the cross is not, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. All right, so we'll let both opinions fly. You know what I'm saying? You draw your own conclusion. We'll make the conclusion at the end, the overlining point at the end. All right, so let's get it. Did you know that the scriptures don't make mention of a cross? Right. We'll just get into it. You know what I'm saying? When you get into the Greek word, it's the word storos. All right. We'll deal with it. A well-known instrument of most, what is a cross? A cross is a well-known instrument of most cruel and ignominious punishment, borrowed by the Greeks and the Romans from the Phoenicians. To it were affixed amongst the Romans down to the time of Constantine the Great. The guiltiest criminals, particularly the basest slaves, robbers, and authors and abettors of insurrections, and occasionally the provinces at the arbitrary pleasure of the governors, upright and peaceable men also, and even Roman citizens themselves. They were all what they say crucified. All right. And B is the crucifixion of Christ that Christ underwent. And 2, an upright stake. All right, especially appointed one used as such in fences or palisades. All right, it's from the Greek word staros. All right, that would be G2476. All right, it says a stake or post as set upright, especially a pole or cross. All right, as an instrument of capital punishment, figuratively, exposure to death, i.e., self-denial, so on and so forth. Let's get into it. All right, the atonement of Christ, the cross. So that's what you get in your Strong's definition. So let's get back to the origin of that thing, because notice that they said that, you know what I'm saying, there was something that the Romans got from the Greeks and the Greeks got it from the Phoenicians, so on and so forth. And that thing had to have proceeded Christ. But let's get it. What does 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 19 to 21 say? It says, what then do I say? That an idol is of any value, all right? Or that which is slaughtered to idols is of any value? No, right? There's nothing to the idol, but understand the thing behind it, the spirit behind it. He says, no, but what the nations slaughter, they slaughter to demons and not to Elohim. And I do not wish you to become sharers with demons. You are not able to drink the cup of the master and the cup of demons. You are not able to partake of the table of the master and the table of demons. All right. If this cross thing is proven to be evil, it's time to let it go. All right. Question: when and where did the cross originate? All right. Should we use the cross as a symbol of religious worship or in dress? Right. They have a thing in hip hop where they call it the Jesus piece. Right. They got the Jesus piece and they got the iced out cross. Right. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that. All right. So let's deal with the prosecution's opening argument. Right. The prosecution's opening argument. All right. It says, since the cross is a pagan symbol. Right. How do we know that it's a pagan symbol? You know what I'm saying? We just gave you where it originated at with the Phoenicians. Right. Well, the execution part was. Right. Since the cross is a pagan symbol, believers should refrain from using it as a religious symbol or within fashion. The word cross comes from the Greek word staros. The Vine Expository Dictionary of Biblical Words states staros, all right, in the New Testament 47:16 denotes primarily an upright pale or stake. On such malefactors were nailed for execution. Both the noun and the verb staru, all right, to fasten or to stake or pole, are originally to be distinguished from the ecclesiastical form of a two-beamed cross. All right, so they said in the definition. All right, and matter of fact, I'll let my brother say it later. You know what I'm saying? But when it talks about something ecclesiastical, that's talking about the church's excuse for something or the church's definition of something. You know what I'm saying? But it's to be distinguished from it, right? Saying it's not the it's not the same thing. That's something that came down later through tradition, right? And the prosecution continues. They say the shape of the letter had its origin in ancient Chaldea and was used as the symbol of the god Tammuz, who we just read about in Ezekiel 8, right? Being in the shape of the mystic Tau, the initial of his name, in that country and in adjacent lands, including Egypt, right? Right. It says, by the middle of the 3rd century AD, the churches had either departed from or had travestied certain doctrines of the Christian faith. In order to increase the prestige of the apostate ecclesiastical system, pagans were received into the churches. apart from regeneration by faith and were permitted largely to retain their pagan signs and symbols. Hence the tau or T in its most frequent form with the cross piece, lowered, right? Was adopted to stand for the cross of Christ, right? That's the prosecution's version, right? They know that the cross is pagan. All right, why don't you? Let me get into this first video real quick.
Shalom, Yasharah. Just want you to take a look at this. This is the New Strong's Concise Concordance and Vine's Concise Dictionary of the Bible. On page 75 of the Vine's portion, I just want to read an excerpt. So I thought this was interesting right here concerning the cross. Now, if you follow along here, I'll read. Stauros denotes primarily an upright pale or stake. On such malefactors were nailed for execution. Both the noun and the verb stauru, to fasten to a stake or pale, are originally to be distinguished from the ecclesiastical form of a two-beam cross. Ecclesiastical form meaning the church promoted form of a two-beam cross. The shape of the latter, the cross, had its origin in ancient Chaldea and was used as a symbol of the god Tammuz, being in the shape of the mystic Tau, the initial of his name in that country and in adjacent lands, including Egypt. By the middle of the 3rd century AD, churches had either departed from or had travestied certain doctrines of the Christian faith in order to increase the prestige of the apostate ecclesiastical system. Pagans were received into the churches apart from regeneration by faith and were permitted largely to retain their pagan signs and symbols. Check this out. Hence, the tau or T in its most frequent form with the cross piece lowered was adopted to stand for the cross of Christ. The method of execution was borrowed by the Greeks and Romans from the Phoenicians, black people. The stauros denotes the cross or stake itself. Okay. I want to skip down here. It says the judicial custom by which the condemned person carried his stake to the place of execution was applied to the Lord, to those sufferings by which his faithful followers were to express their fellowship with him. So basically, the scholars know that Christ was never crucified on what we believe to be a cross, but he was hung, according to the apostles, on a tree with a stake or a pole, which is what the word stauros, actually the Greek word stauros, denotes primarily an upright pale or stake. On such malefactors were nailed for execution. Think about that.
All right, you know what I'm saying? That's the prosecution's version. All right, now we don't have to get the defense of this. All right, because I already know, you know what I'm saying, people are going to want to teach in the comments, so on and so forth, and I just want to bring the information out, you know what I'm saying, to let you know that, hey, we're not going to hold any type of bias, right? We're going to let this thing play out. What's the defense's rebuttal? All right, it says, this Cross's pagan story is based on non-scholarly research written by amateurs. Neither Hislop, you remember Hislop, he's the one that Brother Chick pointed out the book. He suggested that we read. All right, but he's one of the authors. Parsons or Ward were professors or scholars. All right, he says none of them were professors or scholars. That needs to be buried. Non-scholarly religious groups like the Jehovah's Witnesses keep circulating this balagna. Contrast it to real research done carefully by objective archaeologists and scholars, and you get much closer to the real truth. Right. All right. The defense says, quote, the quote from W.E. Vine's expository dictionary has no historical or archaeological evidence to support it. He's saying everything that good brother just read to you had no archaeological evidence to support it. All right, no historical or archaeological. I had the book myself, and no source reference for his assertion are given. The assertion that the sacred tau, the symbol of the god Tammuz, was smuggled into Christianity symbolism by priests in the fourth and fifth centuries to make the Christian religion more palatable to pagans is ludicrous and without historical support. But we all know better. We ain't going to interrupt the brother. He says, Vine wrote during the late 19th century, along with authors like Henry Dana Ward, the book History of the Cross, Alexander Hislop, The Two Babylons, that's the book Brother Chick was talking about, says, and John Denham Parsons, all right, the non-Christian cross. This was a time of vigorous anti-Catholic vitriol from fundamentalists who saw paganism in every aspect of Catholic Christianity, including vestments, baptism, and Eucharist, right? But mind you, he didn't mention all of the obvious, pagan, adaptations of Christianity, but let's keep it moving. It says, in the late 1800s, early archaeological discoveries in the Middle East and Central and South America found evidence of perpendicular intersecting lines used as design elements in art. British military men often led these expeditions and commented on their observations or of their observance, right? I.e., Colonel Wilford Sr. G. Wilkinson, Sire A. Edmonston, mentioned by Hislop. All right, their writings are the evidence often used by writers like Parsons, Hislop, and Ward to prove there's a causal connection between these cross-line motives, even those in South America, and the Latin cross of the 4th, 5th century Christian symbolism. Right. So, they're giving you the definition of the patibellum, right? They say that's what Christ actually carried, or those who were being crucified were actually carrying. But let's get it. Let's keep it moving. He says, far better evidence of actual history of the cross is found in the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, volume 7, page 572 through 574. Citations from ancient authors are provided, such as Philo, Josephus, Syrio, etc. Says the article states that convicted slaves carry a patibulum, all right, a patibulum, a piece of wood fastened to their shoulders like a yoke. This article is referred to and expanded on in the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, Volume 1, pages 825 through 830, edited by Jeffrey Bromley, under the heading Cross. The article gives 6 full pages of history, usage, terminology, and evolution of the practice of crucifixion and the cross. It states that crucifixion became the slave's punishment and that it had become customary for the condemned person to carry the cross beam, the patibellum, to the place of execution. Right. So you have what? The history of the Persians, Carthaginians, Slovakia, the Greeks, and the Romans. Right. Crucifixion originated under the Persians. We know that for a fact, and was practiced by the Carthaginians, the Greeks, and perfected by the Romans. It wasn't, done away with until Emperor Constantine, so-called, became a Christian and did away with the practice. He went to straight hangings instead. All right. But anyways, let's keep it moving. The article cites authors who mention execution sites outside cities, often near crossroads, where upright stakes, the Greek stauros of the New Testament, were permanently placed. Condemned prisoners carried their crossbeams to the site, were hoisted up so that the patibulum, I don't know why that word is so hard to say, the patibulum was mounted on the stake and the body either roped or nailed in place. After Constantine became emperor, the cross established as the cross established as a Christian symbol, crucifixion was outlawed. Right. So after the the Catholics basically adopted the symbol of the cross to stand for the crucifixion, then Constantine, he outlawed the practice, basically. All right. So why would that have occurred unless it was known that the two-piece cross shape was taken from the crucifixion method? Now, let me get some water. Right. So we have both sides, you know what I'm saying, giving facts, stating, you know what I'm saying, evidence and so on and so forth. You weigh that out. Core recess for a second. All right. And we're going to let this play real quick. We're going to let this play.
What's up, guys? Amazing Grace here, back again with another piece from Daniel's Jewelry Inc. Guys, check out this flooded cross I got on my 4mm Franco chain. Check that out. Guys, this isn't diamonds. This is moissanite again. Check that out. This is on real 14 karat gold though. Especially made for me. Look at that. I'm not done with the moissanite. You know, whether you're a diamonds person or you're an alternative person, I'm both. For a piece like this, guys, this thing would have been like, this would have been like $2,800, $2,500 lucky, you know. I paid about $1,000 for this. This is truly colorless, flawless moissanite. You know, lots of jewelers call this a disco ball, because it really shines. I know the light in here is not really good, but check that out. I mean, I'm not to say.
Millions wear or own a cross. This symbol is venerated across the wide spectrum of Christianity. The icon comes in many different shapes and forms. It is worn around the neck, displayed in one's home, showcased atop church steeples, and used in various other ways. Many feel displaying the crucifix shows their belief in Jesus' sacrifice. Yet, taking a deeper look at its origin may surprise you. Have you ever asked, does wearing a cross represent Jesus? Examine what history reveals. According to the Classic Encyclopedia, the cross has been used both as a religious symbol and as an ornament from the dawn of man's civilization. Various objects dating from periods long anterior to the Christian era have been found marked with crosses of different designs in almost every part of the Old World. Vine's Expository Dictionary of Old and New Testament Words explains that the shape of the cross had its origin in ancient Chaldea and was used as the symbol of the god Tammuz in that country and in adjacent lands, including Egypt. Very few understand that this Christian symbol long predated Christianity. These facts should greatly help you in deciding whether God would want you to wear or display it. He commands everyone to prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
All right, says something very important. You know what I'm saying? Prove all things. Is that something that's, you know what I'm saying, acceptable to the Most High? You know what I'm saying? That's for you to decide. That's for you to decide. We ain't going with you. All right, let's get to the next. All right. There are several important facts to know here. All right. The Greek word for cross comes from stauros, like we mentioned, and likely refers to an upright stake and not a cross. The word for cross in Greek is crux, all right, and is never used in the Koine Greek of the New Testament. For this reason, the Messiah probably died on an upright stake and not on a cross, as often displayed. The symbol of the cross is associated with the worship of Tammuz. According to scholarship, Tammuz was a Mesopotamian god of fertility and was symbolized by the sun. The Bible is quite clear that we are not to adopt paganism in any form. The cross gained acceptance along with many other pagan items as Gentile influence gained dominance in the church. Many scholars verify that it was the policy of the church to amalgamate pagan ideas within the church. This was partly done to appease the growing Gentile membership, right? Along with the desire to move away from anything Jewish, right? And we've covered plenty of that, especially when we dealt with Constantine, and the influx of sun worship, and the deities that they were worshiping were getting given different names, right? But anyways, below are a few additional references confirming the pagan nature of the cross. Ezekiel refers to the worship of this Babylonian deity in a vision of his apostate brethren who were enamored of this cult. The prophet saw the women weeping for Tammuz at the north gate of Jerusalem temple, right? Ezekiel 8:14, which we read for devotion. Tammuz was known by the Babylonians as the Muzi, all right, god of pasture and flocks, of subterranean water, and of vegetation. He was the husband / brother of Ishtar, all right, or Semiramis, all right, Asherah, fertility goddess. I'm saying that's who you call on. That's who you worship when you worship Easter. You're literally saying Ishtar, but it's not there. Right. Tammuz supposedly died every autumn when he departed from the underworld. From there, he was recovered by the disconsolate or Ishtar, all right, or Semiramis, his mother. All right. Says his reappearance marked the bursting forth of life in the springtime. All right. The fourth Babylonian month, July, was named in honor of Tammuz, right, which was applied in later post-biblical times by the Jews to their fourth month, June, July, right? So that's why when you look at the old Jewish calendar, you'll see the fourth and fifth months. You'll see it says Tammuz, the month of Tammuz, right? It's a real thing. All right. Anyways, let's keep it moving. It says Tammuz is equated with the Greek Adonis and the Egyptian Osiris. Allusions to this worship of Tammuz cults seem to be referred to in the Jeremiah 22:18 and Amos 8:10. The worship of this god was widespread throughout the fertile crescent of Babylonian Assyria to Palestine, Syria. All right. Let me say Babylonian Assyria to Palestine, Syria. Okay. It says the rites of Tammuz included a divine marriage of the king annually to the fertility goddess in the person of a temple priestess. Tammuz worship was especially notorious at Byblos, the biblical Gabal, on the Mediterranean. All right, New Unger's Bible Dictionary. All right, the catacombs in Rome bear the same testimony. Christ is never represented there as hanging on a cross. All right, and the cross itself is only portrayed in a veiled and hesitant manner. In the Egyptian churches, the cross was a pagan symbol of life, borrowed by the Christians. That's what they call the Ankh, right? And interpreted in the pagan manner. That's in the Companion Bible Appendix 162. Right. So from its simplicity of form, the cross has been used both as a religious symbol and as an ornament from the dawn of man's civilization. Various objects dating from periods long anterior to the Christian era have been found marked with crosses of different designs. In almost every part of the old world, India, Syria, Persia, and Egypt have all yielded numberless examples, while numerous instances dating from the later Stone Age to Christian times have been found in nearly every part of Europe. The use of the cross as a religious symbol in pre-Christian times and among non-Christian peoples may probably be regarded as almost universal. And in very many cases, it was connected with some form of nature worship, right? That's in the Encyclopedia Britannica, the 11th edition, page 506, right? So did Constantine claim to see a cross in his so-called dream, right? And we examined that when we put Constantine on trial, right? So as for the chi, or say, okay, or the X, with Constantine, which Constantine declared he had seen in a vision leading him to champion the Christian faith. That letter was the initial of the word Christ and had nothing to do with the cross, all right, for Zulon, a timber beam, a tree, as used for the staros, see, under tree, all right, and we know the staros means beam, i.e., the X is denoted as ch in Greek, as in the reason they say Merry Xmas instead of Christmas. It's essentially the same thing. You know, people would get mad and be like, don't say Merry Xmas, put Christ back in the Christmas. All right. No, Christ had nothing to do with Christmas. All right. So let's get it from the horse's mouth real quick. What does John Hagee got to say?
When I was in Washington talking to Pastor Mark Blitz, he asked me if I'd ever considered the study of the lunar eclipse with regard to a prophetic signal. I said no. He said you should. So I came home, and thinking about what the pastor had said, I sat down at my computer and began to work. I knew that our Bible, this one, was written on the lunar calendar. Our calendar, the Western civilization calendar, is the Gregorian calendar from Pope Gregory of Rome. That means it's pagan in origin. It's not God's calendar. Our calendar and the calendar of this book do not match. Sun God is for Sunday. Moon God is for Monday. That's a sermon for another time. Believe me, much of what Christianity salutes is pagan to its roots. When I was in Washington talking to Pastor Mark Blitz, he asked me if I'd ever considered the study of the lunar eclipse with regard to a prophetic signal. I said no. He said you should. So I came home, and thinking about what the pastor had said, I sat down at my computer.
All right. You pretty much get it. Everything pretty much that Christianity salutes is pagan to its roots, including the Cristian Cross. Right? That's what we want to establish today. That's why we put it on trial. You know what I'm saying? And you can decide for yourself if that's something you want to continue to do. You know what I'm saying? But we just encourage you to find out if the Most High is pleased. Right? Ezekiel, you know what I'm saying? Let's jump back in there real quick. Right? He says in Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 1, he says, and it came to be in the 6th year and 6th month and the 5th of the new moon, as I sat in my house with the elders of Yehuda sitting before me, that the hand of the master Yah fell upon me there. Right? And he says, and he stretched out the form of a hand and took me by the lock of my hair, and the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heavens and brought me in visions of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate in the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy was. And what does this image of jealousy do? It causes jealousy, right? The scriptures tells us that the Most High is a jealous Most High, right? Understand this thing. Idols are not a small thing to the Most High, but people approach the reproach with no conviction, right? What is conviction, right? What does it mean to be convicted of the things the Most High hates? First, you have to understand how he sees a thing, right? You have to get it, you know what I'm saying? You got to get to know the Most High. Seek him while he may be found. That means to get to know the things that he loves and the things that he hates. So if that thing that you're trying to represent him with offends him, right? Take it off. Take it off. All right. 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 21, it says, and he walked, right? This lets you know how the Most High feels about idols. He says, and he walked in all the way that his father walked in, and served the idols that his father served and worshiped them, right? Psalms 135, verse 15, it says, the idols of the heathen are silver and gold, and the work of man's hands. See, we showed you the video how the woman was showing her decked out cross, so on and so forth, and just giving you how pricey it was, right? Those are idols. The idols of the heathens are silver and gold, the work of man's hands. Ezekiel chapter 8 and 10, it says, and so I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping thing, abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. And that's very interesting. because I was talking to Pastor Hunt one time, and he was like, I was like, yo, at the latter part of the conversation, I was like, and then you have all of these idols all around the church. He said, what idols? And we just sit in this office. I said, there go one, there go two, and there go three. I just pointed at 3 different pictures on your stained glass, window. All idols, right? And all white people, might I add, but that's neither here nor there. But that sounded very familiar, what we just read in Ezekiel 8. But anyways, let's keep going. How the Most High feels about idols. Ezekiel 8:12, he says, then he said to me, son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in his chamber of imagery. They say, Yah does not see us. He says, Yah has forsaken the land, right? This is a prime example of religious leaders who say that the law is done away with, right? This thing doesn't matter that Shabbat Bible study is giving you. He's putting the cross on trial. He's putting our faith on trial. And so, no, I'm just giving you the origin of when that thing was, right? And I'm giving you the scriptures to show you how the Most High sees things of that nature. So let's keep it moving. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 14, right? He says, and among the prophets of Jerusalem, I have seen a horrible matter, committing adultery and walking in falsehood, right? And if you are familiar with Psalms 119, all right, 47, I think it's 147, so on and so forth. Those who are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments are walking in falsehood, right? And the scripture says, I hate every false way. But anyways, he says, and they strengthen the hands of evil ones so that no one turns back from his evil. All of them are like Sodom to me, and in her inhabitants like Gomorrah, right? So it's still pagan at the end of the day, right? Can't put lipstick on a pig, all right, and call it something else. It's still a pig, right? We say that all the time. If the cross started out as a symbol for Tammuz and is now a symbol for Christ, all right, whether it is or not is not important, right? You cannot put lipstick on a pig. I can tell you this all the time. When Revelations tells you to come out of her, my people, all right, before that, it was like Babylon has fallen, right? Babylon has fallen. All of these religious practices started in Babylon, right? That's how we even got in the conversation of Tammuz. So if the cross symbol, started out as a symbol for Tammuz, right? How can it now be a symbol for Christ? And you just accept it. The thing that we tell you all the time is that if the name changes, it doesn't matter. It's about the practice, right? If they were practicing Christmas thousands of years before Christ was even born, right? You can't put lipstick on that pig. It's still that exact same practice. Okay, let's keep it moving. I think we're at the end. Yeah, this is the conclusion, right? Seeking the Most High while he may be found means finding out what he loves and what he hates, right? The Cristian Cross as a symbol of faith needs to be a question of concern for true followers of the Most High. He's destroyed people for less. And what a terrible thing it would be to get all the way to glory and then hear the words, I never knew you, right? To hear the words, I never knew you. And that's something that a lot of people don't even consider because they're thinking they're going to hear, well done, thy good and faithful servant, right? Hey, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the whole point of this message is to let you know, you have to look at things the way the Most High sees it, right? He says, I lay before you life and death, blessings and curses, and you must choose, right? Understand that he feels a certain way about a particular thing. You have Jeremiah chapter 10 telling you, learn not the way of the heathen. Then goes into describing the Christmas tree. The Most High is giving you stern warning to stay away from those pagan practices, right? Understand that, and people look at certain things as if they're a small deal, right? They're not that important. If it's important to the Most High, it should be important to you. The scriptures tell us to abhor what he abhors. That means hate what he hates. Okay, Brother Chick, come in and give us some wisdom. How good to see you.
Good to see you, bro. Shabbat shalom. I really don't have much. You covered everything I was thinking when you started with just, historical and going into the words and what they actually mean. The only thing that comes to mind is why it's even more so proof, or should be proof, that it's an idol, is the fact that we're so attached to something that the Most High never even told us to do. Like it shouldn't be a matter of having to go through the process of explaining where it actually came from, when the simple matter is he told us not to shape anything on this planet, underwater, underground, in the air, whatever, and worship it. And he never said everything Christ told us, and he was very specific. He never said, after I die, make sure that you commemorate that by making a version of what killed me. Like, that was never said, but yet we will fight tooth and nail to keep that in our echelon of things that we salute. Like, we don't fight for his law. You know, we don't fight for what scripture actually says. We fight for what man told us a long time ago to do. And if that right there doesn't tell us that it's been turned into an idol, nothing will, because we have attached feelings to it based on no logic. Whenever I see that, that's when I know something's wrong. You know, it's like we talked before when I turned my grandfather's headstone into an idol. I didn't realize it, and it wasn't purpose. It was based on feeling. When I went there, I felt close to him. But logically, it's not true. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do as human beings. That's how susceptible we are to attaching our feelings to something. So that explains to me why the Most High will want us to be so very careful of it. So just the fact alone that we fight for something like that with no basis when it really doesn't mean anything proves to me that it's an idol, and it shouldn't take all this discussion just to get back to the truth. That's all I really had. Appreciate you, bro. Good to see you.
My bad. I had to unmute myself. Good to see you too, brother Chick. Yeah, and thanks for adding on to that. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, the Most High told us not to do a thing, but a lot of people learn things traditionally. They don't learn it biblically, right? Why is it important that we know about the origin of anything we believe in or celebrate, right? Or wear or profess, you know what I'm saying, is righteous, all right? Because the origin happens to be, if the origin happens to be one that God condemns, we wouldn't be not only disobeying God, but also offending him by observing and participating in something that doesn't have his approval. If we find out that the origin of what we believe is not from the Bible, then it means it's from the world or it's man-made. In that case, we should remember James 4:4, where it says, whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world is constituting himself an enemy of Elohim, right? And we've seen this before. We've been lied to since birth by our government, our churches, our media, our history books, and schools, right? So we have it. We're going to let the lesson fly. At the end of the day, whether you, are convicted to wear a cross or you're convicted against it, you know what I'm saying? Each man has to examine his own heart, all right? So we'll leave it there. We just wanted to show you that if this thing did not originate, you know what I'm saying, in the scriptures, all right? And then if the Most High doesn't approve of it, you should reconsider it, right? That being the case, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Appreciate you, Brother Chick, for stopping through. Shabbat Shalom. Brother Jason Jackson. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Yashitar De La Paz. Brother Brian Woods. All right, good to see everybody. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Most High willing, we'll be back next Shabbat with another video. Yeah, and there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, and please don't be teaching in the comments, especially if you don't teach anything yourself. That message will be deleted, especially if you're not using scripture to back it up. But that being the case, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.